I want to talk a little bit about the order that I changed and placed today. I had someone who receives the newsletter ask me the question, was not losing money on that trade? And the answer is yes and no. If you take a snapshot of that in time, using generally accepted accounting practices, and start and end with the purchase and sale of that stock, then yes, I had a capital loss. And I'm not concerned about that necessarily. Whether the move was correct or not depends on, excuse me, until we're getting situated in my chair. It really depends on the free cash flow, and that's determined not by what I bought or sold it for, but what my replacement cost is. Let me jump to a screen that says it all. You notice down there in the green block, it says it's not so much what I paid for it or what I sold it for, rather it's my replacement cost. Success is measured by how many contracts I can cover, that is sale, and the revenue it produces. So I'm going to get back to this whole can of beans thing. I'm selling cans of beans. And so whether or not I make any money on that can of beans ultimately is determined by what it costs me to replace what I just sold. And anybody who's never been in the retail business, management side or own retail business, may not seem sane. When I was growing up, there was this wild TV commercial where this guy, I'm crazy Eddie, I'll sell you something, at some ridiculous price. And the joke was, well, how do you do that when you're selling it for less than it cost you? And he said, volume, man, volume. Well, of course, his commercials have long since disappeared from TV, along with him. I don't know what became of it. But anyway, this is not a crazy Eddie kind of thing. Have you ever wondered about the prices you pay? I got to pause this. Okay, so at any rate, it depends on whether I make money, that is, have free cash flow. I have to replace the stock for less than I pay. Okay, I'm not phrasing this right. Okay, I bought had this put on me at $7. I sold $6 calls. In that process, I collected 82 cents a share. Well, that's not enough to cover the spread between $7 and $6. So if that were the end of the story, then yes, I've lost 18 cents a share. But that's not the end of the story. Once these are called away from me, if they are, we could see, heaven forbid, could see HBI close on Friday less than $6. I hope not. But assuming it gets called away at $6, then my free cash flow is the difference is 82 cents minus the difference between the 82 cents in premiums and the replacement cost difference between what I sold it for. let me explain that a little bit more. So let's say it sells for, you call away at 6, and I have to replace it at 650. Okay, then that means that I made, in free cash flow, I made 32 cents. See what I'm saying? Now, on the other hand, if the market goes up, and there's a snapback in the price, and there's a link in my on my website that talks about the snapback, and that's the worst thing that can happen to me, is for the price to suddenly just take off. But if, let's say it goes at $7, it's going to be my replacement cost. Then I have a negative cash flow of negative free cash flow of 18 cents. So it's not a certain kind of thing that I'm going to have positive free cash flow, but more often than not, that is the case. And right now, the market going into correction, recession, whatever you want to call it, these are extraordinary times. And in better times, the premiums were better, and the volatility wasn't so great. But I hope that answers that person's question. There is method to my madness. I'm not Crazy Eddie. Ah! I've been doing this a long time. And believe me, over time, it works out. Now, last year, if you look on my website, I had a bit over $3,000 of taxable profit. And as I've explained before, because of the IRS 60-day wash rule, my free cash flow is much better than that. But because of the 30-day wash rule, anything that's I don't replace within 30 days, if it's a capital loss, then it's a capital loss. So that's subtracted from all the free cash I took in. It's not right. It goes against the premiums. It goes against the premiums. So therefore, I had 32. Well, I forgot. You have to look at my website to see 100 in taxable income. Of course, that's long-term capital gains, which is better than the other. Although I did have some dividends in that number, which is taxed as ordinary income. But this is a tough market right now. Last week was the last transaction set was poor, and as this market goes, in the case of HBI, man, at some point in time you can just load up all the machinery and all their assets, and it's worth, the book value is more than the selling price of stock. And of course, the experts are really downgrading the stock because they're going the retail sector is going to really hurt from this recession, and it will, and their profits will go down. But as long as they're making a profit enough to pay the dividend, then I'm fine with that. The only danger I foresee is if their sales drop to the point where they couldn't support paying the dividend at that rate. That is, they had to reduce the dividend or suspend it. Then the stock would get another hit on price. But it's not a company that I feel like would ever go out of business. I think the greatest danger is that at some point in time, it's going to be a terrific takeover target. I mean, somebody will be picking up that company on the cheap. And once that news breaks that somebody's interested in buying out, the stock price is going to go through the roof. So I hope that doesn't happen. In which case, I'd have to switch ponies. That is, use a different underlying stock upon which to base my contracts. But anyway, I hope that made some sense to you. It's a bit of a complicated subject. Well, I'm gonna leave it at that so I can get this uploaded, posted, and the market has closes in 2 minutes. I will update my website. So be sure to put your questions in the comments down at the bottom, and also there's some valuable links down there. Please subscribe. If you like it, like it. If you don't, you don't.